Hello everybody! So you came for some more editor tips, didn't you? Awesome. Today I would like to show you how to implement optionally visible elements. And we are back to our robot programming language, and a good candidate for showing how optionally visible elements can be implemented is the if statement. When you have an if statement, just like in almost any programming language, the else branch is sort of optional. And so the projectional editor should not always show an empty else branch, even though there's nothing in there, right? If the else branch is empty, it shouldn't be visible at all. So we have the if branch, which makes sense to be non-empty, and you've seen last time how to implement an if branch so that it is empty if it is empty. By default in projectional editor you would always have a sort of empty line here representing the empty collection of commands within the if block. If you pay special attention to this, you can have the editor make the gap disappear. But we talked about that last time. Just check out the previous video on editor tips if you want to know how this is implemented. So today what we'll do is how to hide the else branch and how to make it visible when it is needed. So basically by just typing else or part of else and then code completion, you get the else branch, and now you can start. So you get an empty branch, and now you can fill it with elements, and if you remove all elements, the else branch disappears, so it doesn't take space on the screen. So let's start from scratch, or almost from scratch. So currently we have an if statement implemented to some extent. So we have the structure for condition, the true branch and false branch, and we have an editor which currently only contains condition and the true branch. So it doesn't support the false branch or the else branch at all, and we'll add support for it. So we get to the editor. So since the editor part corresponding to the else branch will contain several visual components, we need to put them in a collection, and the indented collection is usually the best default choice. So here we go. Now we have a collection of elements. So the first one should be a constant corresponding to the else keyword. So here we go. So we have an else keyword. Well, to say this is a keyword, we should jump down to the inspector and assign the keyword style to it. So now else is a keyword. Now we need the do keyword. So again, another constant, do, and in the inspector again we say this is a keyword. But now we want to jump on a new line, because the else branch, the commands, should be on a new line. So we go indent layout, new line. So whatever comes after do will be on a new line. Now we should show the else branch, or false branch in our case, down to the inspector. Now false branch should be slightly indented, so indent layout indent, and again there should be new line at the end of the false branch, so the end of the whole else branch is on a new line. And back to code. Now we add constant for end, which again is a keyword, and now we should pair it with do so that they are both highlighted when you position the cursor on one of them. So we say, so we assign an arbitrary string to the end keyword. Let's say else block, and we give exactly the same matching label to the corresponding do keyword. So now these two are paired. Now, to actually make the whole else branch optional, we select the collection wrapping the whole if branch, and down in the inspector we specify the condition for show if. So we only show it if the node, which currently corresponds to the if statement, the false branch of it, and the list of commands in there is non-empty. So this is the condition that will decide whether the else branch should or should not be visible. Now we can rebuild. Now in going to the sample, well, we see an if statement. The if statement doesn't show the else branch, which is fine. However, there is no way we can add the else branch. And I think the most intuitive way to add an else branch is just to type else where it belongs, so after end. If you hit enter, I would still prefer to just jump on the next line so that I can continue typing, the next command in a row. So let's see how this can be done. For cases like this, MPS provides side transformation actions. So first, we have to identify place in the editor where MPS should listen or monitor what you type and potentially do some special actions depending on what you type. So we already identified the best place as this end keyword. This is the place where if you type else, you would like the else branch to appear. So we give it a special mark. So we go to the end keyword and we say, well, in the inspector, that for side transformation actions, this place is a special place. We give it a tag, one of those, ext1 would work. So we just give it an identifier so we can now identify this place. So now we gave this place in the editor a special mark so we can refer to it. And now we create a new side transformation action. Well, let's give it a name, else branch. It's applicable to an if statement and a tag ext1. So here is exactly where we refer to the place in the editor. So at all places in the editor that are identified with this ext1 identifier, we currently only have one. We could have more if we wanted. So now whatever we write here applies to this particular position within an if statement editor. And it is only applicable if the else branch or false branch is empty. Otherwise, we don't want to add another else. So we take the source node, which is the if statement. We take the false branch, while commands is empty. So if it is empty, the false branch is not displayed, and we would like to make it visible if the user types in else. We'll add custom items. Okay, so we will add new elements to the AST. We will add an abstract command. So whenever the user types else, we want to do the following transformation. We pretty much want to add a new node, an empty line, to the false branch. Source node, false branch, commands, add new initialized. Now, for this to work, you have to have the actions language imported. So make sure you import the actions language for this to work. And now, so we do new initialized, and we want to add an empty line to the false branch. So we add a new command, an empty line, to the false branch, so it's no longer empty, so it will show up on the screen. Well, and now we have to return something, and whatever we return will receive the focus. So I would prefer the focus went to the just entered empty line. So we take the first element of the list of commands. That should be it. That should do the trick. So I rebuild. When we get back to the sample, to the place where AND is, and type else, so we get an else branch. Backspace will remove the else branch. Okay, so this is how it works. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.